Hi guys. My name's Clayton Davis. I'm the chief awards editor at Variety. Thanks for coming out today. I made this show all by myself. So glad you guys. What did you think of Little Trent? Don't you love it? For the record, I didn't make it. All right. Don't let Disney get mad at me. But I caught up with some people outside. Thought we'd come in here and have a little chat. Sounds good? Yeah. We're gonna behave ourselves. Yes. And look, up here especially. You guys are the ones that didn't clap. All right, first one up, executive producer and director, has directed 7 episodes so far of this show across its 3 seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, Howard Deutsch. Executive producer, Daniel Thompson. Executive producer and best dressed tonight, I have to say, Liz Heldens. And he's the actor and executive producer, and he's from New York, and he's Boricua. Ladies and gentlemen, Ramon Rodriguez. For New Yorkers in the room, just want to let you know this is also a support group for the Knicks. We are very upset about this. This whole season is dedicated to them. Howie, I'm going to start with you. I read this very compelling quote that you said Ramon is easy to direct because he's collaborative. He's very collaborative. Can you share a moment on set where that collaboration truly elevated a scene, or just in general across the whole entire series of the show?
I never said that.
Oh.
What I mean by that is that he is kind of directorial in his DNA. It's kind of baked in the sense that, you know, he's not just thinking about what the character wants. He's thinking about the whole scene. You know, and that's unusual, and that helps every director, because when you have a conversation about what to play, he's already 3 steps ahead of you. So that's kind of what I meant by that.
Clear that up real quick, thank you. Daniel, show often veers into some unexpected tonal shifts. We get some dark drama, and we get some laughs with some surreal moments. How do you balance that? Is that intentional? And how does that happen in the writer's room and know when to pull back or go real dark?
Yeah, I mean, we started in season 1, exploring the tone of any show is kind of, you know, there's always a work in progress. And so early on in season 1, we had this idea of like, okay, what if Will just talks to the dead guy, victim? And it just kind of broke open this whole feeling that like, well, that worked really well. What else can we get away with? And Liz and I kind of haven't been able to find the line yet, where every time somebody will have a crazy idea, like this season, one of our guest directors pitched the idea that we should make an opening, we should take the General Hospital main title sequence from 2004 and insert Will and Betty into it. And then she was immediately like, that's silly though, right? And we were like, no, that's what the show is here for. That sort of. So yeah, I think that we want to make sure that the show lives in all these different corners of life, because that's what real life is for us, and that kind of, I think it gives you an opportunity to make the show feel very real. It's weird, the more heightened it gets in some ways, the more real it feels. Is kind of, I think, the way that I've experienced it.
Thanks. Liz, it's been 3 seasons now, and I'm going to give a stat that I'm pretty sure is accurate. There are about 5 broadcast shows on television right now that have been on 3 or more seasons. This is one of the 5 that the viewership has increased every year on broadcast, which is a huge accomplishment. And you do that by taking risks and not staying safe in a season. So talk about the biggest risk that you took this season and how that feeds into season 4.
Well, I think one is the episode you guys just watched, which was written by Rebecca Murdo, who I think might be here, but
Yeah, she's here.
and we knew that Will was going to do something, was going to make a mistake, and that it was going to be really hard for him. And I felt better about that idea while we were conceiving of it, writing it, shooting it. And then when we were about to air it, I'm like, oh shit, is that too much? Is that gonna be too much trauma? And then I think the second biggest risk we took was the dance sequence in 313, which was, I think, a way to kind of come up for air a little bit and just get a peek into Will's psyche, because the character that Carrie Slaughter created was so, layered and fascinating and specific, but taciturn, man. He doesn't talk and so lots of things that Dan was talking about. We have to find ways to get Will's personality out, and that dance sequence was one of them, because I think we all in the writers' room believe that he has this rich inner life that he doesn't share with very many people. So anytime we can get a peek behind the curtain, it's great.
I just want to add, Liz has been dying to have me dance on the show
That's true.
for a long time. I was like, he's Will. It's not like if Ramon dances. Will don't dance.
Yeah, but then you
So she
drink the
figured out.
sacred water.
Yeah, exactly. Then the sacredness.
Very method actor I play. Ramon, first of all, my condolences on Nick's. I'm with you here. It's a big loss for us. Secondly, one thing that you and I spoke about on an interview in Variety, you can read it, why we love Will Trent so much is a great example that we look for in Hollywood and we talk about. He's a beloved character in the books. He didn't have to be a white guy. He could just be a Latino guy, and we just don't really address that he's Latino on the show. He just is. And it's one of the best things to see. First, talk about what this character has meant to you at this point in your career, because you've been grinding at this for a while, and not only acting, also EP, got multiple jobs on the show. How has this changed the trajectory of your career?
I mean, it's been really, really exciting to have a really interesting character that, from the books seemed really compelling, had a lot going on with his childhood, just a lot to unpack. So great source material. But then I loved, what they wrote with the pilot. One of the scenes that always hooked me in early on was just, the moment where he adopts this Chihuahua. He's not going to allow this Chihuahua to not be sort of saved the way he had not been saved. And so his heart and we've been able to really explore a lot of different colors. And it's exciting when, one of the things that I've enjoyed a lot is just the development of this partnership, this creative sort of collaboration where we get to really talk about where are we going to take things, where can this character go, knowing that there's this great source material in all these books that we reference at times, and it's obviously used in the series, but it's also its own thing. And so going to Puerto Rico in season 2, amazing. Discovering that this character's Puerto Rican, because he wasn't Puerto Rican until we started to have that conversation. Is that something interesting? And so when someone like Will, who doesn't know anything about his childhood, to discover his mom and that she's from Puerto Rico. And this season, discovering his father, he's getting these huge pieces. So it's fun when you get juicy, fun material in a show that can actually handle comedy and drama. Like she said, this episode is pretty heavy. 2 episodes later, he's, tripping. And he's, Betty's talking to him with a British accent. It's really, really fun to be able to do that as an actor. It's really exciting. That as an executive producer, it's really wonderful to have a real collaborative team that continues to grow. It's a relationship that sort of keeps digging and deepening and earning each other's trust. And I'm really grateful for that, because that's a fun part of the process that as actors, strict actors, you don't always get to be a part of it sometimes, especially behind the scenes and with scripts and edit cuts and musical choices. So it's a really fulfilling experience on a lot of levels.
Thank you. Question for everyone. It's not uncommon, but a show that is watched by a lot of people also has critical acclaim. People like the show. It's not like just filling the background. Now 3 seasons in, I mean, I think all of you have been on record about what this whole experience has meant. What did you want audiences to get from it initially when you started this journey? Now 3 seasons in, it's taken on a new life of its own. We have season 4 coming up. Yeah, we got dreams. How are you? You want to talk about like what that journey's been like, season to season?
One of the things that was really important for me from the jump, even when we started the development process on it, is just as a writer who's going to tackle the genre of a broadcast police procedural, is I really wanted the center, like the beating heart of the show, to be good and to really believe in the ideals of justice and to hold himself to a level of accountability that I thought was, it was important to say. I didn't want to do an anti-hero story. And I think that we've lived up to that, and I think that, when I look at Will Trent and who he's become over these seasons, like, I'm really proud of that guy, and, I would want him to be investigating crime in my municipality.
Anybody else?
Yes. I think the way I approach material, it always starts with the character, and I knew just as a pretty seasoned showrunner, like, this show can go for a while. I understand the engine of crime, it's not, and so, but I think I'm just surprised by how deep we've been able to go with these characters. I'm surprised by how nimble 1 through 5 on the call sheet are. Like, the humor that we, the comedic attitudes that we sometimes find in the show, and the absurdity, it wouldn't be possible if these guys didn't all keep it really grounded and make it just small ball and throw away, and they can all do it. And I think we talked about the comedy before, but I do think it makes it feel more real. Like, when something takes itself too seriously, it starts to feel arch and it doesn't feel real. And I think I'm just surprised and excited and energized by how deep we've gone with Will, how deep we've gone with Angie and Ormwood and Faith and Sonia, who's the actor, not the character named Amanda. So I'm excited to be a part of something that every piece of it is working.
Yeah, I second that. I mean, I think finding ways to sort of keep challenging and find how do you continue to elevate something. I give it up a lot. Again, there's just a really great collaborative process. The writer's room is really strong, and it's fascinating to see everyone's strengths and what, who can bring what to an episode. But how do you keep finding a way to keep everyone feeling inspired by it and fresh and excited to, like, okay, because if not, for me at least, it can start feeling a little repetitive and not exciting. And so that's a challenge that I'm really thankful, like, everyone seems to be wanting to do that and on board of finding ways to continue elevating the material and storylines. And sometimes it's really scary. Sometimes you're not sure if something's gonna work until I remember season 1, they wanted us to do this like 80s, we started singing Hall & Oates while we were like trying to solve a case. It was Faith and I went back to Video Village and I go, maybe we just jumped the shark right here. Like, maybe the show, right at this moment, we've lost it. And it was kind of nice to see that it worked, and I think it gave everyone confidence of, like, yeah, we can do that, we can keep pushing it. And I think we have, and so the challenge becomes, how do you continue doing that and finding new ways to keep it exciting for everyone involved?
Keeping with the theme of drama and comedy, I'd like to know a funny story about Ramon on set. Does anyone have one? Mistake, just good collaborative jokes. What is your fondest memory of the man on set? I feel like Howie's gonna have the one.
Oh, I have plenty. just an inside thing with us, you know, because, like I said, Ramon's directorial in his nature. So lots of times on the set, I have a watch, and I'm always looking at the watch. And he's always looking at me, like, why are you looking at your watch? And I'm like, because I want to make the day. He goes, okay, take it easy. You don't have to rush. I think it'll be fine. So I stop, I take it easy, and the next thing I know, he's going, why are we moving? Why are we moving? Like that.
It's just a habit. He does that, and I test him, right? He'll go like that, and I go, what time is it? Because I know he's not really looking at the time. He's just trying to motivate everyone. And he feels if he does this, people feel like, oh, okay.
You knew that.
I can, when we did the dance sequence in 313, Ramon pitched that when he started dancing with Gina before, that the sound would drop out, and he'd make that speech about like, what if you don't like sleep with anybody for 2 years until I get my shit together and then we can be together, blah, 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 blah. And
And now we salsa.
Yeah, you tried that on the day, on the day, that was an improv, but he called me that morning with the choreographers there and the music edit there, and we all kind of scrambled to like figure out how to make the music drop out and the timing work, and it's like the best part of the whole thing. It's like so delicious when the sound and when it all lines up like that, it's great.
Good stories.
Yeah.
The most important question, I was told that you were definitely telling us the answer to this. Can you tell us what happens in season 4, just at the beginning and the end? If you give us the bookend of it, I think we'll fill in the rest. But just what happens at the top, what happens at the end?
We choreographed a dance, kind of.
We go back tomorrow.
Actually, tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll let you know, we'll let you know. But yeah, I don't know, there's lots of cliffhangers, there's some stories dangling that we gotta, tie up. It'll be great.
I want to go back to Puerto Rico.
I second that.
Third.
Sure.
Fourth? Okay. Final question. We are here at the FYC event because this is for consideration for Emmys, and granted that some people are always like, oh, awards are important. Awards matter sometimes when, you see other shows getting, their time in the sun, and this is one that definitely deserves its time in the sun. Could you guys, whoever wants to take it, Too big enough for not clapping for me. I walked off the first time. Can you guys talk about what this show has meant to you professionally, and why this is one of the best shows on television? Why you believe?
I'll start, because honestly, it is, to me, a surprise, because as a procedural, you think, oh, okay, a procedural, but it's not, and so for me, having being a character guy, I'm always surprised as a director, and all the guest directors say this, that it seems like it's not procedural, yet there is a case and everybody's trying to solve it, but there's so much behavior, and there's so much going on in terms of surprises with these people, that it doesn't feel like that. So for me, that's what sets it apart.
I guess I have to build on what Ramon was talking about earlier, which is just the element of collaboration. This is my first show. Liz and I are co-showrunners on this, but that's the title, but really she's more of a mentor to me. She's got more experience, and it's I think what I would like to think is a strong contributor to what we see up on screen is the fact that I'm invited in as a co-showrunner. We've got Howie, who's based in Atlanta, who's been our producing director, who really is also super collaborative, and then Ramon, who the episode that you guys just watched, I don't think that, as he's alluded to, there's a lot of broadcast dramas that get shot in 8 days where the script shows up and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's what's in the script, that's what I have to do now. And the fact that we have a collaborator who's an actor and an executive producer who we can have conversations with at the beginning of the season and be like, we're gonna build to a really difficult place for Will. And he can start to prepare for that. I think that helps allow the depth of performance get to where it needs to be, so that what we're putting up on screen is what you get to see, which I think is pretty good. And I think that's only possible because of, the open communication and the fact that there's a lot of people here who don't mind being a part of a team, and there's no one auteur.
First of all, the episode that you just watched was directed by Crystal Robertson, who I think might be here. So,
Yes.
to say that, one of her shows that I kind of really, really cut my teeth on was a show called Friday Night Lights, and that show was about.
Such a humble brag, by the way.
It was about football, but it wasn't really about football. And I kind of feel the same thing about our show. Our show is a crime show, it is a procedural, but it's not really about that. It's about what it is to be a person trying to do a job, and what it is to be a person who's trying to overcome, some trauma, what it feels like to show up and do your best every day, what it feels like to connect with other people. And I just think at the heart of it, it's what it feels like to be a human being. And I think that we find ways to push it and layer in flashbacks and really build on the characters and explain the characters, and that's what makes it a joy to work on, and I hope that's what makes it a great show to watch.
Yes. Being honest, I had a stigma that I don't think is that's my stigma. I think it's something that maybe in the industry, we sort of look at broadcast, or I'll say I broadcast procedural a certain way. It made me very reluctant, to be quite honest, to even come on board to this project. What I'm incredibly proud of is that it's not, despite it having to be in that category, I know we're pushing the envelope. I know these stories are so deep and character arcs. I mean, what happens to Will in this episode, which is what I love and we talked a lot about, it doesn't just end in this episode. This carries on for actually the remainder of this season, maybe next season, but it's something that continued on, which is really fantastic. For me, it feels a little more serialized, where you get to continue with what this character's living with, and with what many of our characters are going through. It's rich, it's deep, and it's, for me, the theme that I've always gravitated towards, identity, because it's fascinating. And to see someone like Will having a struggle to find his own identity and putting pieces of his life together, and then go through a traumatic event like this, which is the last thing. I mean, I've had officers come to me and tell me that this episode really struck them to their core, because it's real. It's something that can happen on the job, and sometimes it has happened. And so I love that we were able to take that really traumatic moment, allow it to be something that lingers for Will. Then we see him for the first time unpacking it with a therapist, and later in the season, so it just continues. And that, for me, to be able to, because I've always heard the talk, we want to do something that's different on broadcast, but I actually truly believe that we are, and that means a lot. And I love that we get to do things like explore his identity, and in that process, just so happens that we go to Puerto Rico, which is so true and dear to my heart. And to know the impact we're having in that community of Latinos is incredible. So it's a special one in a lot of ways. I'm really proud of it, and appreciate you all, and hopefully you all enjoyed tonight's episode. I'm gonna back it up for you, Clay.
I'm going to end this with two quick things. One, just because there were about 15 directors on the season, and I feel like a bunch of them are here. If you directed an episode this season, can you please stand up and then we can all applaud them at the DGA. Look at them. Howie, you were supposed to stand up too, by the way. And last thought, and I'm just going to throw this out because I want to. What Ramon does on the show, everyone does on the show is great, but I wanted to give a quick shout out to Ramon, because lead actor in the drama is very, leading men on television, being a Latino leading man on television, very rare. There have been two that category in history. Jimmy Smits and Pedro Pascal. A third should be around the corner. Just saying. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, everyone, for Will Trent.
Thank you all.
And we'll see you in the lobby for drinks.